I think that this is a good time to issue a public statement to give clarity to the process of my participation in the nomination and future election by the Parliament of the head of state and to demystify it all. There will be cynical views, there will be conspiracy theories, but even those statements will be accepted within the right to freedom of speech. First of all, the state is a political entity, and the office of head of state is therefore a political office. Secondly, the office of head of state is not akin to that of the Archbishop of Canterbury or the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, where the criteria are different. As leader of the opposition, I am given a constitutional role in the nomination of the head of state for election into that office. I am required to participate in that process with maturity, sobriety, wisdom, and a broad sense of justice. The public will naturally have a greater interest and excitement about the office of head of state. But over the last 18 months, I have quietly, decorously, and proprietously concurred in several judicial appointments and other appointments to various state bodies. In none of these appointments have I embroiled the offices in any partisan rancor or indignity. As with those several offices, I have given approval to this presidential nomination where the candidate is mentally stable, legally able, and morally capable. These qualities of character do not derive from partisan affiliation, and I give that approval even within the context of multi-party democracy. I will do nothing to embroil the high office of head of state in any partisan rancor, since the head of state will be called upon to transcend those partisan considerations in the exercise of his future functions. I could not, however, complete this statement unless I say that the Prime Minister must continue to be disappointed in my legitimate rejection of invitations to participate in governmental functions. In matters of state, I will continue to do what I am required to do constitutionally. In matters of governmental administration, I will not breach my constitutional and political responsibility to the people in associating with the government on matters of policy. It remains a fundamental feature of our democracy that there must be an opposition in substance and form. In my continued resistance to the Prime Minister's invitation that I should sit on a government policy-making council on crime, I will remind the government that they have access to the Democratic Labour Party's Commission on Crime report. Maybe then it will assuage the Prime Minister if I borrow from the psalmist and confess that even on matters of violent crime, and I quote, my heart is not haughty, nor mine eyes lofty. Neither do I exercise myself in great matters or in things too high for me. Unquote. Thank you very much.
Good evening. We always do it with a sense of maturity, sobriety, wisdom, and a sense of justice. That was the statement I released today in response to a decision that I took jointly with the government in relation to the nomination of the proposed new president for Barbados. This evening, though, we'll be looking at other topics, another topic. We'll be looking at suffering in Barbados and in response to a few criticisms that we see and hear from time to time that we never offer solutions. That's not true. This evening, apart from looking at suffering, we'll be looking at solutions. And we've brought along, again, a very distinguished panel. This evening, the panel comprises persons who are all candidates. We have from the city, our young Dale Rowe. Welcome, Dale.
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Thank you. And to my immediate right, from the constituency of St. Michael East, distinguished lawyer, former police prosecutor. That's where we met, working on opposite sides. And now we are on the same side, not only politically, but legally. We are at the bar working as defense counsel Ensley Grainger, welcome to this evening's program.
Thank you. Good evening, listeners and viewers. Sorry.
I hope I can describe the gentleman to his right as vivacious. The public who has heard this next candidate for St. George North really do love to hear him on this show. Vivacious is the word they use. Very charming, very forthright, very outspoken. Mr. David Walrond. David, welcome to the panel.
Good evening to all the viewers and the constituents in St. George North.
Thank you very much. I think we're going to a video first before we get into the topic. Yes, let's.
Tragedy. There are people who are struggling out there. There are people who are struggling out there. There are people who are struggling out there.
That was said in Parliament on Tuesday by one of the government ministers, a senior minister. Perhaps the truth is coming home to the government that there are many persons struggling out there, and struggle indicates suffering out there. And when you get that from a senior government minister, the admission that a lot of people are struggling, we've been saying it for a long time. And we are pleased that the government is now acknowledging and accepting that there's a lot of struggle out there in the society. What is the government doing about it? If we are become a new government, if it will, we will recognize and acknowledge the suffering, but we will offer solutions. The first part of our show tonight is to identify, as the minister said, the struggles, the daily struggles that people in Barbados are enduring. And we're glad that the government has now joined in recognizing that there is much struggle out there. But the government has not been offering solutions. This panel tonight, after we've identified struggle, we will offer solutions, as we did on the last occasion that we were here. I want to introduce the subject by looking first at cost of living. Cost of living. That is something that is afflicting the lives of many, not only the poor in this country are enduring a high cost of living, but the middle class. We've heard middle class people saying that they no longer know what it feels like to be called this thing middle class. And the struggle has extended itself upwards into the middle class. We've heard the stories of the people in supermarkets who are looking at the groceries, and when they reach the cash register, they have to return some. Of course, if they meet a friendly person, a neighbor, or even a stranger, that stranger is sometimes asked to take the bill. That is what is happening in our country. And we're here tonight to identify the issue of struggle, to quote the minister, the issue of suffering, to quote the daily experience of people, and to take a look at it. Now, we have here persons who aspire to represent urban constituencies. Certainly you, Dale, you represent the most urban of the constituencies. Ensley, St. Michael East is very, very urban, suburban. And we brought along David from the rural part of Barbados. He will tell us whether the struggle there is any different. But Dale, can I come to you first?
Certainly, sir.
The cost of living, you canvass very, very often. You look, I so admire the work you were doing on Christmas Day last year, and most people were engaged in festivity in their houses. You were in the middle of the city, bringing cheer to little children. And it must be a life of struggle on the part of those people in the city that would have brought you there December 25th last year.
Yes, sir.
Let us come to the cost of living. What is the cost of living, the high cost of living? We're not going to beat around the bush. What is the high cost of living doing to your constituents in the city?
Honestly, it is driving persons to crime.
To crime.
It is also young people, young males to crime.
Mm-hmm.
It is also driving young mothers to, a state where they want to use.
You're talking very
substance.
softly tonight.
Yeah, sorry. So basically, driving mothers to a state where they want to use drugs to get
Really?
away. Yeah,
Escape.
escape.
Mhm.
And there are some men that also use the drugs that also escape. I also observed that, it also pushing the young guys rather than you going to play cricket or football, they're pushing you to either gamble or sell drugs from a young age. So, earlier this year we saw a guy called the Christmas List came to Barbados, did a vlog in the city, and you would have seen some young guys gambling.
Yes.
Yes.
That's right.
So then, persons were like, young people should not be gambling at such young age. But I went on the Marcia Week show and I told Marcia, like, I don't agree with the gambling. However, we still have to look at what is the root cause for that, because we can have those same young guys at the ending, right there with Jordans, or right there by main yard, or right there anywhere in the city with a gun, waiting on persons getting off the van, or robbing the van guys.
Yes.
So when we look at guys gambling, we need to look at what is the root cause.
They're gambling for profit, you mean? That they're making money from this gambling? It's not just a game?
Yeah, they're making money from
They're
it.
making money from it. So people, while other people are going to work, their work is gambling.
It's gambling.
And that is, of course, a danger in itself, because gambling has been known to erupt into violence.
Yes.
And all of this is rooted in a high cost of living.
Correct.
Ensley, can I come to you? The cost of living. Everybody's talking about it. You canvass a lot, especially on weekends. You're observing the effects of this high cost of living, the way in which people live. You talk to them, you share their experience. How is the high cost of living manifesting itself in the lives of people?
Right. Firstly, let me commend the Minister Simmons, for being or seeing what we have been seeing for a very long time.
Yes.
I don't know if it was an epiphany that he had that brought him to this realization that yes, there are a number of persons struggling out there.
Yes.
And the struggle is real. And at the apex of the struggle is the cost of living.
Cost of living, yes.
Where persons are finding it very difficult to make ends meet. And as you go house to house, it is a recurring decimal.
Yeah.
You're hearing the same thing. Persons are meeting it very difficult. And there, you see some of them, they open up to you.
Yeah.
And it is really, really difficult for a number of these persons that you come in contact with. They are living paycheck to paycheck. Some are facing eviction because they are unable to pay the rents.
Yes.
So it's a juggle between, should I pay all the rent? Should I get food? What about the children? And that the cost of living effect of it is, though you are working, you're still not able to make your ends meet. You can't satisfy yourself when you get your pay pack to go into the supermarket to get what you would want to say to do a worthwhile shopping, because the prices in the supermarkets are definitely too high. And I think if government wants to deal with that issue, rather than taxing unhealthy foods, I think government should make healthy foods.
We're gonna come to the solutions.
Okay, all right.
So save that. You're sounding good.
Okay, but yes, the struggle is real,
It's real. Yeah.
and unfortunately, it took this minister 7 years to realize.
Yeah.
And as he said, I want him to know that the Democratic Labour Party is in opposition.
Yes.
So if the people are struggling, they are struggling as a result of the policies by his government.
Well, he spends most of his time in the year. I think they just came back
From Ethiopia
from
and
Ethiopia
Gallipoli.
on a chartered flight. That
Yes.
Wickham told us last week would have cost about 300,000 in either direction.
One
plus
way.
the one way. So you're up to 600 and something thousand. And then first class hotels, the very, very generous per diem. So we're close to $1 million that the government would have spent for a 3, 4, 5 day excursion. And there are people in this country suffering. David Walrond, St. George North. We've heard from the two urban gentlemen. You're seeing the signs of the high cost of living in the country, or life up there is very sweet.
Very sweet.
It is.
We are having the sweetest time of our life. Because now the level of poverty
Mhm.
and hardship in Barbados
Yes.
is actually driving people back together. We're learning to exchange.
Really?
We're learning to share.
Mhm.
We're learning to look up each other even more now
Mhm.
because we're concerned. We're not just concerned for ourselves, but we're concerned for our neighbors. And I don't
You're
want us,
finding that in St. George, that people are
of course, most definitely,
cooperating.
the sharing.
Sure.
I am seeing a recurrence of the old Barbados where people share
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
People, I mean,
And you're talking about food stuff.
food stuff, fruit, that kind of thing, things that we can get, things that grow around in the community. But I don't want to bring this down to a no situation where I'm on the ground campaigning and meeting people.
Mhm.
This is not a no situation.
Yes.
This is a situation that has developed since 2018, and we have to be fair.
Mhm.
We have to give the government credit for all the hardship people are going through in Barbados.
Mhm.
We cannot take it away from them.
Mhm.
The reality is that I meet people who say to me, look, before 2018, I could save some of my salary.
Mhm.
Now it's like a recurring decimal. People keep saying, I can't save a cent. And furthermore, I can't even risk getting sick.
Yes.
Because there's nothing in the kitty to help me if I get sick. So people are living on the edge.
Yes.
They're afraid to get sick. They're struggling to meet their basic needs.
Mhm.
Paycheck.
Yes.
That is where we are
Yes.
in Barbados.
Ensley was telling us that they're juggling as between the necessities. Take some off the rent and hope that the landlord accepts less than the amount agreed so that you can buy some more food. That's happening in the country as well, or that's a city phenomenon?
No. That's a Barbados
That's
phenomenon.
a
That's a Barbados phenomenon. Because I mean, the hardship is not about what is happening in the city.
Mhm.
The hardship is about what is happening to Barbadians.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
I mean, it is clear we basically taxed out of our boots.
Mhm.
It is clear that we have an uncaring government.
Yes.
That creates an imbalance where the cost of living keeps going up
Mhm.
and the cost to survive ain't moving.
Yes.
The reality is that since this government came in power, same government that was asking for a 23% hike in
Yes.
pay
Yes.
and gave a paltry pay hike
Mhm.
to the people and a couple pay hikes to themselves,
Yes.
does not understand, though they don't seem to understand, that as the cost of living continues to rise at the rate it is,
Mhm.
and the cost to live
Mhm.
or the ability to live does not match up to the cost of living,
Yes.
then we are going to have a very, very poor society. And remember, sometime back, a minister talked about building a homeless shelter in every parish.
Yes.
He'll reach his goal at the rate they're moving this country at.
Yes. Yes.
At the level of poverty that exists in Barbados.
Yes.
He definitely will reach his goal. He will.
Viewers, it was not any discourtesy that caused me to introduce only 3 persons. Our 4th panelist is now here. She was not late. She was delayed for good reason. Backstage. We have a backstage here, though.
We do.
Dr. Dawn Marie Armstrong is our candidate for St. Michael North. And as Dawn is aware, tonight the topic is suffering and solutions. We're talking suffering here. And we've heard from David, Ensley, and Dale as to how the high cost of living is affecting people. You're a mother, Dawn, and I want you to focus on children. You've been canvassing. I saw you canvassing.
You caught me.
I caught you canvassing in Welgap this week. The beautiful Welgap. You can see the whole of the harbour and Bridgetown and across Christchurch. But life is not as pleasant in Welgap as it used to be because they're suffering the effects of the high cost of living. But as a mother, I want you to tell us how this high cost of living is impacting the lives of children.
What I can say is, even in chatting to some parents like myself, I find that a lot of school children are going to school hungry on mornings.
Going to school hungry?
Hungry, yeah, most definitely. Children aren't eating.
Yes.
And we already know that when one is hungry, the ability to focus becomes extremely difficult. And I definitely do feel under the Democratic Labour Party government between 2008 to 2018, we ran a series of breakfast programs across schools, on this island. And that was to ensure that children who came from poor households were not disproportionately affected in terms of their ability to focus on their classroom activities and their schoolwork. And obviously, you would know, as the party that upheld education for so many years, we know the importance of education for working class families in this country, and we know the benefits of social mobility. As you said earlier, the middle class is practically evaporating under the policies of the Barbados Labour Party. But for me, when I think of myself as a child from Bushell, recognizing the importance of education and knowing how hard my mother worked to ensure that we were taken care of, I always say, we had a good life. I can't complain about my upbringing, nor would I even embarrass my mother to say, oh, I had a hard life and my mother could barely make ends meet. My mother worked hard. And she did everything that she could for us. And I feel like in 2025, hardworking mothers are working extra hard and still can't provide for their children in the way that they should. And it's really heartbreaking to see that children 10, 15, 20 years on, even though the policies still do exist for free education, and even though social mobility is still there in principle, it won't be a reality for children in this day and age because they don't possess the ability to tap into the resources that are presently available, just because there is a breakdown in the systems that are to provide for our children at this point in time. And I think as a parent, I get fed up when I hear all the blame, for societal troubles, and, when children go astray, or, when they find themselves, being at risk. Oh, it's the parents. Oh, they're bad children. But in reality, parents don't have a lot of support in this country either. And the state really should be supporting parents. And I'm not only speaking about, going into welfare and collecting a check. I believe that community centers should be utilized to run programs to support parents at times like these.
We're going to come to the solutions.
That's all right.
But come to the solutions. Dr. Wickham came here last week, Elvis Wickham. And he was giving us a medical assessment as to the hungry child leaving home. The child goes to school, and he was telling us how that child would be functioning. You were a teacher at some point, Dawn?
I was.
Excellent. A child leaves home hungry. Let's say he gets to school, goes through morning assembly, goes through his first class. By 10 o'clock, what is happening to
Irritability. You can't talk to the child. You can't discipline them. And
then the teacher thinks that he's dealing with a difficult child. but he's dealing with a hungry child.
Well, as a teacher, I recognized it from the get-go.
You did secondary or primary school?
I
teaching?
did secondary.
Secondary.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I had 2 appointments right after leaving UE. Then I went to study, came back. I had my second appointment from 2014 to 2017, and then I left
We
again.
have good candidates, you see.
You know, so no. So I was really saying that, yeah, you find that at the root of it, when you investigate a child's challenges, particularly with respect to deviant behavior or, you know, being wayward or rude, you know, oftentimes you trace back to the source of the problem, and it's because that child really literally has nothing to eat, has no money, you know. If a teacher is able to kind of get through to that child and really speak to them, you realize the heart of the problem, and you recognize that the child just has the struggles of what I would say an adult, really. The worry of some of these children in our society today are the worries of adults. A child should not have to be worrying about where its next meal will come from.
That's the adult.
A child should not have to worry about how clothes will get on their back.
Yes.
A child should not have to worry about where their school shoes are going to come from, or, you know. So I feel like our children have the worries of adults, and because they're expected to function at a different level of maturity, it's very hard for them to negotiate, you know, adolescence and their bodies changing and their psychological kind of makeup changing, and then they're faced with all of this hardship that really they should be shielded from, you know. But because parents now are unable to cope, that burden is passed down to children, right? And I just find we have a lot of under 18 adults, you know, within the school system by hardship. We have a lot of under 18 adults, and it's funny because that term just came to mind as I, you know, keep trying to wonder what is happening to our children. Our children are just forced to think, where to grow. It's survival, but
they're thinking survival.
The needs and their wants are oftentimes not what I thought I would have wanted and needed, you know, as a young person growing up.
Yes.
You know, so it's hard to watch our young children right now navigate school. And I think I may have mentioned this before. Some of them are forced to beg on evenings. Some of our children beg on the streets, beg people on the streets. Yeah, there was a young lady that I met, and I think I told you this, and I said it on an earlier show.
You did actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't disclose the school, but you know, they leave home. They have enough money to get the bus to get to school and perhaps get something at school, but then they find themselves without bus fare to get back home. So, you know, they see a trusting stranger, maybe a stranger that they think is well dressed, or some person that they think may be nice, and they ask that particular person for money. I need bus fare to get home. My mother doesn't have any money. Yeah. And it's a bit like, you know, scary, because you often think, you know, I would help most definitely, but you don't know.
You don't know who you're asking,
or who you could really trust.
Yourself
you know, and
abuse.
I definitely feel like society has changed a lot. I think we still are very close knit, as David would have pointed out, and we still help each other as best as we could. But again, children should not be forced to fend for themselves.
Yes.
You know, in this economic climate. But it's what we've been faced with.
I'm sorry to be asking you a third question.
That's all right.
You for coming in here after the other.
Okay.
Academic performance. A child who is enduring that struggle. Of hunger. You taught in the secondary schools. What does this do to academic performance?
Can't perform.
Cannot perform.
Can't perform.
So that you could lose bright children because of poverty.
Yeah, but you know, I have a very, you know, interesting view on what we call bright in 2025. I think children all have their different skill sets and their different capabilities, but it is about facilitating that child functioning, you know, to optimum capacity.
Yes.
And when we have children focusing on their struggles and not able to focus on their willingness to learn, you can't get the best out of that child.
Thank you. Dale, we're going to be more specific. We're going to ask you to take us to the supermarket. Food prices. What's food prices? What is this doing to people?
So the current administration put a serious dent as it relates to the food prices.
Dale, I accuse you of talking softly today.
Sorry.
You were here.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the chair.
Yeah, maybe it's the chair. You know, so the current government put a serious dent as it relates to the food prices when they would have implemented the 2% minimum wage increase.
I see.
So when I say that,
Yes, please.
we have single mothers that were working 40 hours at $8.50, which would have rounded off at $352 a week.
Yes.
Then after the 10%, after the 2% increase, they moved from $10.50 an hour. They're now currently working 24 hours, which giving them approximately like $252 a week. So they moved from 340. So 850 by 40 hours is 340 a week.
Yes.
And then the 24 hours by $10.50, giving them $252. So after taxes, you're working 3 days a week, $10.50 an hour. You have rent to pay at $175. You're left back with approximately $77. How can you survive?
How can you?
So these currently mothers, single fathers, pensioners, yes, you know, pensioners, those persons, they are really struggling as it relates to the cost of living. When they go into the supermarket, how much can you get with $75? How far can that stretch? Especially if you have 3 mouths to send to school.
Yes, I've heard of the supermarket lines and people nudging each other quietly and asking for help with their bill at the cashier. Anybody has experienced that? Anybody has seen it? David, you've seen that? You've heard of it?
You mean helping at the cashier?
Yes.
People?
Yeah, the cash register.
I've experienced it.
You've experienced it. Tell us
I
about it.
had an experience where a young man came to the cashier and he seemed to have had some health challenges too. And what he took up went way over what he had.
Yes.
So I was in the line. So I noticed and I said, I cover that.
He asked you or you?
He didn't ask me. He didn't ask because I saw the struggle.
Yes.
It's important to see people and see what they're going through.
Yes.
I saw the struggle and they said, no, not about it. I told the cashier, add that onto mine.
We don't identify how old is he. Give us a profile of it.
The young man, probably in
No name.
probably in his 50s.
Oh,
But he
call him a young man?
he clearly was having some. He's still a young man. If I think you're still young, unless you're doing the wrong things in life. But this whole exercise, this whole conversation,
Yes.
in regards to these struggles and I think in the supermarket, right? We really got to hit home at this here. The reality is, right, this government wrote off taxes. That tax write-off benefited a certain sector in society, certain classes of people.
Yes.
Some people say it was about $1 billion, some said $1.5 billion. I don't know how much it was.
Yeah.
I don't really care how much it was. What I care about is that when you look at the uneven way this government is treating the people of Barbados, the working class people of Barbados. I remember a couple Christmases ago, they were doing something called a Novat Day or something like that. I remember that. And then they stopped that. What I'm saying is that they do tax write-offs for certain people in this country. But the working class people, as Dale was talking about, the people who are living on the edge, the people who really need a tax write-off, the people who really need a tax
They
break,
don't get it.
the people who really need an opportunity, they're not getting the opportunity. But you can write off $1.5 billion for people that could take up the same money that you wrote off and fly overseas on a vacation trip to Europe or someplace else. Those people that Dale spoke about, they are not interested in a vacation trip to Paris or Vienna or wherever. They are interested in survival. They just want to be able to live meaningful lives. And if this government is as caring as they say they are, why can't this government do something for the strugglers in this country? Why is it that the people who can afford and the people who don't need a tax write-off will get a tax write-off in Barbados? This thing is so unfair and uneven. and unjust
Yes.
is that for me, I'm not exactly on the outside looking in. I came up in a working class family,
Yes.
and we have gone through the same struggles
Yes.
as the working class right now.
Mhm.
So I know the stories
Mhm.
personally.
Mhm.
I get very emotional
Mhm.
in a different way
Yes.
when I see things like that.
You get
When
angry.
angry because how can you write off $1.5 billion
Mhm.
to a set of persons who don't need it
And claim that you're a welfare state.
and leave the people who are struggling, who are on the edge? How can you spend money on events like Carry Festa
Or the flight to Ethiopia.
or the
Close to
flight
$1 million.
to Ethiopia or the flight to bring home somebody during COVID from New York?
Mhm.
How can you do all these things and forget that there are persons living on the edge?
Yeah.
Something is quite wrong. There's an imbalance that needs to be rebalanced. This Democratic Labour Party has a responsibility
Mhm.
to bring balance back to this country.
Excellent.
We must do better.
Yes. You use the phrase living on the edge. Ensley, I heard him. David used the phrase living on the edge. In your opening statement, you spoke of people juggling, am I going to pay the rent this month or am I going to buy food this month? And it occurred to me when we were growing up and when you were growing up, and in Rosettes, you're in the Ivy. Ivy, right?
Fishborn.
Here now. Fishborn. And we know who we are. And we grew up in villages. And it occurred to me that from very young up to teens, our neighbors were the same people.
Yeah.
Nobody was moving out because of rents and so on. Everybody was poor. But you mentioned people are juggling. Am I going to buy food or am I going to pay the rent? Is there a high incidence of migration in and out of villages now because people cannot pay the rent?
I don't have statistics to verify if that is so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What I can say is that there are persons living in some of the districts
Mhm.
who were from other districts
Right.
that have come in.
Mhm.
But what is noticeable
Mhm.
or what was noticeable from the canvas
Mhm.
is that there is the persistent struggle.
Persistent struggle. I like that.
Persistent struggle,
Mhm.
facing household after household after household,
Month after month.
and month
Persistent.
after month. It just
Doesn't get any better.
it doesn't get any better,
Mhm.
right? You come across persons who will say, well, look, this is my salary before tax.
Mhm.
I have a loan, I have rent, I have a young child or two. I can't do this. I pay a credit card just to use it back.
Mhm.
I pay this card just to use it back.
Yes.
So it is, as the money comes in, it goes, and you like just let me put $20 on Waldron's account just to use it back in the supermarket.
Yes.
When I get some money, I will pay on that again and use it back. So that is what families and households are facing today. Today, it is hard. And Dale mentioned about the minimum wage.
Mhm.
I think what we need to do, I mean, you say you want to come to the solution, but
Yes.
I think this
Second.
is right. It needs to look now at a living wage.
Like the English, I think.
A living wage.
Yes.
What is it that will cause the wage that will cause a family to live comfortable.
Mhm.
After that, you are wherever you are.
Mhm.
Because if you're going to increase the minimum wage,
Mhm.
and after increasing the minimum wage, you increase national insurance.
Yes,
And then the employers are cutting back the hours.
correct.
Where are you leaving, or where have you left that person?
Still exposed. And the government isn't protecting you.
Not
The government
protected.
pretended that it was protected
Yes.
in the first place and boasted about this.
You
minimum
came
wage.
in, you cared,
Mhm.
but the reality is that care for who?
Yes. Dale, I'm going to come back to you. We talked about the supermarket. You took us to the supermarket. Ensley spoke of housing. You're the best dressed man on the set.
Thank you, sir.
Dolly said man, the best dressed man. How the families coping with clothes and so on. They buy them here, they're getting them from overseas, people sending clothes back. Let's investigate the real crisis that is afflicting the lives of people in Barbados.
The real crisis, sir.
Yes.
Back to school.
Back. That's what I wanted to hear.
Back to school.
That late August, September period,
Yes, sir.
anxiety. How am
Yes,
I
sir.
going to get this child back to school?
Yes, sir.
What's happening there?
After this week, we had to donate some bags. A lady from the constituency, she went to school with me. She called me. She said, well, Bill, somebody reached out to
I
her.
think the director wants you to talk a
Yeah.
little louder.
Oh, so true story. Earlier this week, one of my colleagues attended Lester Vaughan. She called me. She said, well, Bill, a guy tried to reach out to me.
Don't mention school.
Yeah.
Please.
Sorry. A guy wanted to reach me so that he can get some assistance. So she purchased 2 school bags and give it to him. And then she called me and said, well, Dale, the guy needed to reach you. However, she dealt with the situation. This is what it was. When I reached out to the guy, basically, there are so many people in the city and in Barbados that cannot afford school clothes, bags, and also to buy the primary school books. When we speak about the clothing, we have to really look at a shirt, one shirt for any school is like $50. $50. We need to look at that from a.
I know it's not a happy topic, but I think the director wants you to talk a little louder.
Yeah. So when we look at cost of living in August, there's 62 hotels in Barbados, registered hotels. We have over 5,000 employees. And out of those 5,000 employees, 5,000 in the hotel sector. Approximately 2,000 were laid off this August.
And these are young people with
young people with children. I would have contacted Mr. Grainger 2 weeks ago. He spoke to a gentleman, and the gentleman is unemployed, laid off, sorry. And he has 2 children.
How old are these children? No names, obviously.
4 and 15.
4 and 15. That's the age of vulnerability.
And these are the issues that persons face with. He's not from the city. He's out of the city. But persons are laid off. And the government want to put Carrie Festa from the 23rd to 10 days. Realistically, if a government, when we become the government, and if we have Carrie Festa, I would advise that we put Carrie Festa in September, so that we can have those heads and beds in the hotels when it's the lower period. So it could also contribute to the clothing, the back to school, and also the food. Right now, this is a very difficult time in Barbados today.
Dawn, are you seeing the back to school crisis too?
Most definitely. I was thinking, I saw a comment from Lucinda Aline on the screen. She mentioned persons asking for rooms. Yeah.
Let's acknowledge Lucinda
Person
Aline and say
asking
thanks.
about rooms for their children, but even though there is an increase in rooms for rent, so really rooms now there is a boom in the market in terms of rentals.
Rooms,
So
not
rooms.
houses.
So now rooms are equating to about the same.
So families are moving into rooms.
Yes.
Well, the room rentals don't allow children though. A lot
Oh,
of
I see.
them.
I
You
see.
see, so
I see.
I saw Lucinda's comment mentioning, persons asking for a room to rent to put a roof over the children's heads. But as the rental market has evolved,
Mhm.
it no longer focuses on families, and it kind of ties back into what we were discussing 2 shows
see.
ago about housing.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so children are the most marginalized right now in this economy, and
Yeah.
it ties back into the back to school crisis that Dale was mentioning, because again, parents are struggling, children. I don't know. I think we need to get more. I don't know what's the word, because I reckon back in the day, I hear my grandmother speaking about having to go to school and how they went to school, and and I find we have evolved to thinking that new clothes are needed for every term, and new
Yes,
shoes and
yes,
new bags.
yes.
And I don't know if we need to get to a point where we cut back and I guess
Materialist values have taken over people's
become a bit
lives.
more thrifty, because
Yes,
again,
yes.
as we have allowed ourselves to become more Americanized, and we have been drawn into a spirit of comparison as well.
Yes.
Within our schools, and perhaps
Oh,
people
yeah.
feel a bit more inclined to have new things for a new term.
New styles.
Yeah, but really, I
earrings.
feel as if sometimes the school uniforms, and especially if they're still in good
More
condition.
modest lifestyles.
Yeah, it
perhaps.
could be thrifted
Yes,
and
yes,
reused, and
yes.
if there are different children, several children within the household, see if there's a way to recycle the uniforms. This is just me thinking, the government does not intend to make anything better, and we agree with that now today. It's clear, it's evident that the Barbados Labour Party does not care about the struggles of the working man or the working class family in this country.
Right.
And we are so, what's the word? I think we are so gifted as a people to be able to adapt to the times that we are given. Because if Barbadians were not able to adapt, I don't know how we will be able to continue as a civilization. So I feel it is time for us to take matters into our own hands. If the government doesn't intend to do better, we have to find a way to carry on. We have to find a way to make better. And I really do feel as if we need to introspect now to see how we could help ourselves in these times. It is not by any means me saying give up and fold and but it seems as if the government does not care to hear about the issues facing the everyday Bajan. And I would like Barbadians to understand that nothing is going to change with this Barbados Labour Party government. There's no accountability, there's no help. They say that there is nothing that the state could do. We know welfare is stretched. We saw a very affluent businessman coming out complaining, saying he is stretched. The amount of people coming to him. The amount of people coming to him for aid.
Yes.
So if corporate Barbados now is also stretched, and charities are also stretched, and ourselves as candidates trying to assist within the communities, there's only so much we can do as an opposition party as well without a subvention. If we are stretched, I think we have to then go into our communities and try to help our people to become more enterprising in that regard. And thrifting is not a bad thing. Thrifting doesn't make you poor. Thrifting doesn't make you look bad. It doesn't make you look rough. I don't think it should impact your self-worth. I guess perhaps it is more psychological when we think about it. But having lived outside of Barbados, some of the people that I've lived amongst, and I won't identify the race, are very thrifty.
Very thrifty.
And they're thrifty and they're happy, and they focus on what they need to do and they press ahead. But I say all that to say that we need to now think of ways to push on and to do better. And when the time comes, get rid of this Barbados Labour Party government.
Martin Luther King used the phrase veterans of creative suffering, David. Don is saying that we have to become thrifty, veterans of creative suffering. We have to become creative. I want to ask you about, we are talking about this September phenomenon of people struggling to get school bags, books, and clothes and shoes. August. Let's reverse to August. August has become a time in Barbados of lots of parties and entertainment, and with that, lots of spending. And a lot of it is government sponsored. And I'm wondering if people's struggles are not related to being trapped by this the festivity of August. In our day, the only festivity was Christmas, really, probably the excursion. But you find that people are trapping themselves or being sucked in by the August festivity, and then September comes and they can't look after the children. What is August doing to the children and to families? Because everybody wants to party, everybody
Really
wants
want me
to
to
be
tell you?
part of it. Yes, please.
This is a government of distraction.
Distraction.
This government does things to distract the people in this country.
Mhm.
As a teacher, I saw this coming a long time ago.
You were in secondary or primary?
Secondary.
Secondary, okay.
And like Don, among ourselves, sometimes we try to help the situation.
Mhm.
I did in my time. I had a relationship with the canteen owner, and I noticed that when on mornings,
Mhm.
children come into the classroom, they can't focus. And I know what the situation because I have conversations with my children.
Mhm. Mhm.
So normally, what I say to them, when you come and go by the canteen,
Yes.
get something, and I spoke to the canteen owner.
Mhm.
And
you pull your pocket for that?
Of course I did.
Because
Yeah,
I've
my
heard of
children.
teachers doing this.
I'm not
I'm
sure.
glad
I'm
you
not
received
sure how
your
many
personal
teachers
testimony.
did, but I did it,
Yes.
and I'm happy for doing it.
Yes.
And sometimes I broke the rules. I allow my children to eat.
And you're
In the
calling them your
classroom.
children.
They're my children.
Yeah.
I allow them to eat in the classroom.
Mhm.
I ask them to do it discreetly because they have respect for my principal.
Yes.
And I allow them to eat because I understood clearly that these children
They're hungry.
could not focus with their stomachs talking back at them.
This is something that's happening a lot within the schools, David. And I've heard of it. You're the first person who has come on this set and given personal testimony of helping to support children financially at school, buy their lunches. How widespread is this across?
I'm not sure. What I'm saying is that this happened back between 2000
Mhm.
and 2007.
Yeah.
So this was way.
That's when you were teaching.
That's when I was teaching.
Yeah.
This was way before. That's way before this time.
Yes.
So as
I know it's still happening.
it started happening long ago.
Yes.
But I'm going back to the fact that this government is a government of distractions.
Mhm. Mhm.
Nobody wants to say it, but I say, you have a government. Some months you get this loan for 150 million, this loan for 50 million,
Mhm.
then another loan.
Mhm.
You get some grants thrown in,
Mhm.
and all like no. I would really like to know what all these loans have done in Barbados. There's no physical evidence
Yes.
of where these loans that I have seen over the last year have gone. I am totally confused as to some weeks we received 2 loans,
Yes. That's true.
and the people in the community saying, well, these people boring. But I am
And
not.
there, it's not impacting on the people.
It's not impacting on the society because I'm not seeing any new bridges. I'm not seeing any new construction.
Nothing.
For all the boring that is happening in Barbados, but yet
It has not alleviated suffering.
it has not alleviated suffering. But yet we are here talking about the issues that our school children are having, the issues that our parents are having.
Mhm.
So where has all the borrowed money gone? Where I'm going to be rude. We talk about borrowed money. We still need some accountability for the garbage and sewage tax. We still need some accountability for the fuel tax.
Mhm.
All these different taxes, so many taxes.
Mhm.
But yet, the schools are so neglected. The marginalized, working class people, they know they're rejected. They know they have been neglected.
Yeah.
They're feeling it. We need some answers in regards to these loans.
Mhm.
we need some answers in regards to these taxes.
Yes.
There are too many taxes that are unaccounted for in Barbados. There are too many taxes in Barbados that nobody can bring a balance sheet and say, well, this is how much we collect, and this is where it was spent.
All right. Wait.
But
Yes.
comrade, what coming off of what David had said, what is really ludicrous? How can we be borrowing so much, but yet to be begging for $100,000 at the hospital? We literally begging.
We're going to deal with economic, financial, and fiscal policy another time. I want to come to crime. Ensley, I'll come to you on crime. Let's leave cost of living for the time being. I think everybody accepts that the cost of living is producing great struggle in Barbados. Crime is touching all of us, whether directly, but haven't touched any of us directly. We haven't been shot or robbed, but we are victims in terms of the fear. We park outside there and we are wondering if we leave here safely tonight. Help us, please, God. Crime, Ensley. How is, and we are talking about suffering. You were a police officer. You were a prosecutor. You're now a defense lawyer, so you are in the middle of this thing called crime. How is crime affecting the families in Barbados? Okay, you go on.
No, go ahead.
We canvass, and we make light of it, but I say to you sometimes, boy, after 6 o'clock, I don't think I'm knocking because somebody will think that it is the wrong person. Some time ago, you'd be able to do like 7:30. You do 7 because people would go and watch the news on CBC. But now you have to stop canvassing, especially not this time of year, 5:30, 4 to 6 when it's getting dark. But we're not talking about us. What is it doing to families? Families are going in earlier in Barbados, locking themselves in.
Yes, families
But that's suffering too.
are going in a lot earlier. People are fearful right now.
Yes.
People are in fear. Being out late, and late is they're called late now, like 7 o'clock.
Yeah, when it gets dark.
Right? When it gets dark. People are in fear as a result of the crime, the prevalence of crime. And so that in itself has caused families to lose the family comfort, as one would say, where we don't feel now like being out.
Sitting on the front steps.
Yeah.
Playing in the street.
Because we see what happened to young children in front of their houses being shot.
That's right.
Right? Nelson Street, the Silver Hill, what have you.
Yes.
So this prevalence of crime that is wreaking havoc throughout Barbados today, it has a negative effect on families. And negative too, not only just in terms of people being becoming more secluded in their homes, but also it is or has taken away in some instances, or in most instances, a breadwinner from the family, right? Yes, it has taken away a breadwinner from the family.
Dale, I drive. I'm not going to mention the street. I'm driving out of town on evening, and I observe some people sitting outside next to the house, and they're talking, and the children are at the street playing. And this is your constituency. And has crime affected that form of social life? Is there in the city, in your constituency, a desertion of the streets? Are there streets that used to be well populated with people just sitting down, chatting, having a good time? And has there been a desertion of the streets?
Yes,
People
sir.
retreated into their houses. This is something you've noticed.
Yes, sir. So a lot of the areas in the city, persons would have moved from living in certain areas to either live inside of the house
Why are you talking so softly?
or live. There's just a lot going on inside of my mind. Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know. So we contribute to crime though.
How is that? That's an interesting statement.
When we expel young boys out of school, the school system contribute to crime.
Yes, yes.
So when you expel the
When
young
you
boy,
said we contribute to crime, don't look at you rather curious.
oh yeah, we as a people mean
Yeah,
in
the
the school,
system.
yeah, the system,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
So
that's interesting. Expulsions.
yeah,
They're
expulsions,
expelling people.
and the young boys cannot get employment.
Uh-huh.
One, you expelled out of school. Two, you're a minor. Three, no CXCs, no qualifications. So the only employment you can gain would be working for the boss. So at 15, 16, 17, a lot of the young black males work for the group leader or the boss. So we help contribute to that as well.
I see.
In addition to that, a lot of the young boys, when they look at,
Let's come back to the streets, desertion of the streets.
Okay.
That I wanted to inquire about the social life,
Yeah.
that social dynamic that used to be there. And I was asking you if in your constituency, if the streets are empty at night or there are fewer people.
yes, sir, and in the box BA2.
Don't mention the street. Don't mention the street.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're seeing fewer people on the
Fewer
street.
people. Yes, sir.
And you attribute that to crime,
To the gun violence.
to the gun violence.
Yes, sir.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yes, sir. To the
So
gun
the gun
violence.
violence has chased people off the streets.
Yes, sir.
Into their houses.
Yes, sir. And a lot of businesses has been affected by it.
Excellent point.
Close it.
Yes,
So
sir.
these are the local businesses.
Yes, sir.
Like what?
Shops,
Shops,
bars, yeah, food
food
operation.
establishments.
Yes, sir.
They're closing earlier too, or they just
They're closing early as
they're
well.
closing earlier.
Yes. Yes.
So this is depressing the local economy.
Yes, sir.
Don, you're not in the same experience here.
I agree with you. You should already know that Michael North is hot at the moment, you know,
Really?
with the gun violence. Definitely. And a lot of businesses do close as soon as sun goes down. The sun goes down, you see people shutting up shop, literally.
Are
You
you
know?
coping with canvassing in an environment like that?
I think for me, you know, it
Fingers
is
crossed and you're praying.
fingers crossed and I am praying, yes, but you know, this is Barbados, no.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you have to adapt and you have to go with the ebbs and flows of, you know, what society throws at you.
Yes.
And I saw a comment earlier, and I guess persons
Feel free
would
to read them.
definitely.
Interrupt us and read them.
I think some would see them as negative, you know, this critique that, oh, you know, it's been the same under both governments for years. I could tell you for a fact, Mr. Pyle, it is the absolute worst under this Barbados Labour Party government in this present day.
No, it's a different climate.
We
now.
are in
It's a different climate.
unprecedented times.
Yes.
I can tell you for a fact. And I could tell you when men who traditionally lame and you know commune, because
Yeah.
we have this thing where we say boys on the block, you know, that's a community in itself. And I don't discriminate. I am not going to say that men finding commonality and experiences and choosing to stay in a spot and build their own community, I will not you know, stigmatize them. What I will say is that when those men say that after a certain time them going inside too,
Really?
you know it's a problem, you know. So I get kind of annoyed when people use these issues now to volley back at the Democratic Labour Party to say, well, you know, back in the day it wasn't the same, it was the same, and you know, all two governments are the same. They're absolutely not the same. And I always encourage people, please go and read the constitutions of both parties. Look at the principles of both parties. Look at the values of both parties. They're in direct contrast, right? So you could look from 2008 to 2018, and I tell people all the time, in the 10 years that the Democratic Labour Party held government, social programs were at an all-time high. Every
All-time high.
an all-time
Give
high
us the
social
years,
programs.
give us the years.
For me, being in Barbados at the time and having experienced it, and I could only speak to Bushall Community Center.
Right.
there were programs being run for needlework, programs being run for hair, programs being run for persons who wanted to learn trades.
Do you know the name Tyrone Chapman?
The name sounds really familiar.
You know, Tyrone was a pillar in the Bashal community.
You know, so and I'm
so
speaking to even traversing down to Deacons then during this time when I had a bit of time playing volleyball. There was always something going on at the Deacons Community Center, be it computer classes, be it all of the community centers were functioning.
And we closed all that down.
Yeah, we have highlighted the fact that under the Democratic Labour Party, community centers were functioning. There were programs that young people could engage in. I felt like over the years, the younger children probably were the ones who may have been overlooked because socialization was left more so up to the family.
Yes.
But oftentimes now we recognize that we need to target younger children with respect to social interventions. But you cannot say that between 2008 to 2018 that there was not an exceptional level of social engagement for all groups. You know, everybody felt involved. Now old people are running scared because they're the most vulnerable. They're prone to attacks. You know, they're weak. You know, people say, oh, they got the pensions, they done live the life, they ain't got much to do with money. You know, everybody has to be living in some form of fear because it seems as if the human body is the most disposable thing in this country at this point in time. And there's a lack of regard for it, particularly with this Barbados Labour Party government. You mentioned, Walrond mentioned distraction. You're always mentioning the revelry. And in my mind, when I think about the crime, it all comes back down to the human body. And it feels as if we are disposable. As a country's greatest resource, we, the humans, the citizens of Barbados, seem to be the most disposable persons at this point in time. There seems to be a lack of regard for life in this country.
Well, let us say to our viewer who expressed the view that you quoted, let us tell him that the crime now is more brazen. There's a certain gas station I pass by on Saturdays when I'm running a certain errand, and I used to stop in there and get some things. And I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm not going to mention it obviously, but that's a gas station where they had the Sunday morning execution. And then there's the other incident where the fellas were shooting off at 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. And then we've had some other murders on Sunday mornings. And this is unheard of in Barbados. Certainly, Ensley, in your time, the crime, like your time as a police officer, your time as a police prosecutor, the crime was mainly, the violent crime was mainly at night. We'd wake up in the morning and hear that something happened at midnight, 2 o'clock. But now, 9 o'clock in the morning, midday, 2 o'clock. So it is more brazen. It
doesn't matter the day, nor the hour.
The day, nor the hour.
Nor the hour, right?
So you would confirm, based on your experience as a former police officer, former police prosecutor, that it is more brazen now. It is more in our face.
It is more brazen now. The prevalence of guns now, what was then compared with now.
Well, you heard the chappie on the radio yesterday.
But yes, I mean, he said we have our guns for other people. But then we look at it. Yes, there were persons were held for unlawful possession of firearms, but not to the magnitude as is right now. So the level of gunplay, activity, and the presence of guns in this society is real cause for serious concern.
I almost said something, but I'm going to leave that. Let's go to Shirley. Shirley said something very interesting. You're moving them so quickly. Yeah. Don't read what Shirley is saying there, or you can't see it.
I can.
Okay.
I'm farsighted actually.
Okay.
I remember coming home and going out at night. No. I remember coming home and going out at night. Now I have to be holed up in a hotel watching TV or looking at the cars driving by. What a waste of money. It seems as if Shirley is a visitor to the island. Oh, this is unfortunate. Because I felt like our nightlife, you know, as a person who I guess Yeah, let me not be disingenuous. I really don't go at night that much.
It's the
So-
me saying guns are
I
no
was
more
gonna
readily
say-
available than a bag of salt brain.
So I was gonna-
Reason why
tell
this
us.
is because, again, like I said, the unemployment for the young black males would also be employment for these guys. When I say employment, meaning the bosses want shooters or hitmen. So people paying these young men to commit these serious crimes. These young men taking mollies during the day and pulling these triggers during the day.
Don
And that
is
is the real.
squeamish.
No, it's the reality.
It's the reality.
It's the
Don.
reality, and
It's the reality.
and the Morley administration will focus on him.
There we are.
Him don't solve crime or can't stop crime.
You know who think it's gonna go after us?
Us, yeah.
We gotta stop on our way to work. Drop off the car by the tip man. How much they charging? That they just know. How much they charging to remove the tip?
I don't know, but I keep it on mine. I'm so
I'm
I'm so serious. I'm not taking it.
yourself to the $500. I think I'll change mine though.
Yeah.
I think I'll change mine.
Ralph, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
please.
Sorry, comrade political leader. You mentioned
Ralph.
me being squeamish,
Yes.
right? But you have to be squeamish because these things are unheard of in our country.
Mhm.
You know, the use of narcotics and
That's real.
you know the physiological impact that is having on the brain, you know, on our systems and the systems of users and whatnot, and then it contributing directly to crime. You know, for me, I would hate to know that we have slipped so far as a society.
Mhm.
You know, and I hear of the racketeering, and I again maybe I want to live in a bubble in terms of accepting whether or not this is how far we've come, but I do believe that in terms of putting a stop to it, you know, we also mentioned high crime, high cost of living, but as a social democratic party, you know, we know the solutions to these issues are at the community level, and it is focused in and around the policies that we create to ensure that each and every person feels that there's a bit of social ownership with respect to what we're going through. So we can't say, or at least we can't continue to say that, you know, these are the problems. We're here tonight to create the solutions and to put to Barbadians exactly how we intend to press ahead in this regard.
I wanted to go back to the board, a comment that would interest you, Don. Yeah, Israel. And as he writes it,
Right.
even when I go football at night, I leave 10 minutes before the game ends,
In case
just in
something
case
pops off.
something pop up. That's
Hmm.
he means just in case shooting begins.
Yeah, I think that's what he means. And it's because
Yeah, so the
As you
night
are.
football, even the night football, is being destroyed by violence.
boy,
And you've had some very interesting views on the football tournament, the Prime Minister's Cup.
I have, but
Worth repeating.
I do, but
Is it a
again,
solution, Don? The Prime Minister's football tournament?
I think we run the risk of again discriminating because of the persons and the communities within which the football is being played. I do think that there is an element of counterproductivity, and it was really interesting hearing what is he called, the project manager? I heard it on the radio. I thought it to be so
the project
bizarre.
manager. Yeah, he
He was on
this
radio.
week or last week.
Yeah, asking for more corporate buy-in, and then he said
Yes.
something so weird. You know, if the prime minister changes, we still. And I thought if the prime minister changes, but this cup is about
he
the prime.
did say that.
It was
He did say that,
bizarre.
yeah. And then
Do you think the prime minister will
another
change?
interesting comment.
You know,
Made another interesting comment when she said if the guns come out, she's going to stop football or something.
yeah, and again, it is actually a case where
But you're stereotyping people.
yes, they're stereotyping. They're bringing a stigma
Yes.
around the prime
Yes.
minister's
And
cup. So where now you probably reintroduce the cup, because everyone knows that the Democratic Labour Party was the party that introduced the football in the first place. The
Yes.
current administration just rebranded it and called it something else. But what was supposed to be this community-driven effort to, identify talent within communities and everything else. And we gave them some lashes last year. I was surprised that they came back this year with it again. What you are doing now is actually bringing a national stereotype, a national negative stereotype to the football. And what that will do is cause people now to stay away. So now, rather than the football having this national impact, trying to identify talent and create, it is actually doing the inverse. Whereas people are thinking, well, I don't want to be there because there's a certain type of person that's going to be there. Gun wielding people are going to be there, and it actually is showing again the levels the levels within which the Barbados Labour Party continues to divide our country. So we give
perception of people.
Yeah, we give working class communities their low football. Exactly.
Yeah,
we give them the low football tournaments, and everybody can come out and do their little thing. But then the law-abiding citizens, will be elsewhere, probably playing other sports, doing other things, engaging in other activities. And
It was an unkind statement, Don.
Very unkind statement. And perhaps the reason why corporate Barbados does not want to buy into the Prime Minister's Cup is because they see the negative stereotype, So really, again, the government needs to go back to the drawing board and decide where they're taking sport. And that's a whole other debate, where they're taking sport, where they're taking society at large. We know that at-risk young men are the ones who predominantly gravitate towards, sport. Some of them excel and go beyond our shores and, create better opportunities for themselves. But on the flip side, for those who aren't going to be given those opportunities, what then,
Let's talk about some solutions. Let's start with football. You're the sports expert here.
Yeah.
What would we do with the football differently?
What would the Democratic do with the football differently?
Yes.
The Democratic Labour Party most definitely will begin to look at grassroots level engagement. Because technically we are now focusing on what one would call, I guess, national level players. So players between the ages of maybe 18 to 35, 18 to 38.
Where would your focus be?
My focus would be definitely identifying that talent within those teams and looking at the communities to see who are the younger players that can come as a result of the Prime Minister's Cup. So if we are speaking about continuity, there must be, I would say, a conveyor belt of, players coming in, going out. I do believe that there needs to be greater stipends for players. The money is not enough.
Would you have it parish based? I'm going to come back to the stipends. Would you base it on parish to create a kind of rivalry that
all sports in Barbados should be parish based?
All sports should be
parish based. All sports should be parish based.
In your absence,
most definitely, because we are a small island. Even though there are communities within parishes, I definitely feel that we can get to a point where we can find persons from those communities to represent their parish the same way that we find persons across the country to represent Barbados.
And it would be an interesting rivalry.
It would be.
Did not somebody do a parish base?
There was a parish cricket tournament.
Oh, cricket.
Again, under the Democratic Labour Party was very successful.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, the C.O. Williams parish cricket tournament.
30 overs, I think.
It was 30 overs, I think.
Or something?
It wasn't table, I don't believe. That was wonderful cricket. That was wonderful cricket.
It was?
Yeah, wonderful. It was a wonderful. I think the Democratic Labour Party has the best initiatives for community and sport. I want to say St. Andrew, it's something that I felt should have continued,
So that's where you would take the football?
I would take the football to the parishes. I would definitely use our coaches within the system. We have Montgomery there in Cape Hill. We have, within St. Michael North, we have 3 communities already that you could actually try to seed. Grisette, Eden Lodge, Cape Hill, Eden Stars for sure will be revived within the next 6 months. For a fact. Yeah, we are having our discussions about where we need to take sport
Michael Ford is still involved?
I have not met with a Michael Ford as yet, but what I can most definitely say is that each community has a strength. We know some of the greatest sports persons in Barbados have hailed from St. Michael North. Grisette, in particular, has produced some of the best sports persons in Barbados. No, it don't. Nonetheless, we are seeing now, the government continuing to fumble, the opportunities that it is being presented with through sport.
Look, Gregory Armstrong is the first cricketer from Grisettes to play for Barbados. You
Right.
can't stop me from calling
You
that.
mentioned that. That's fine. Nonetheless, I definitely do feel as if we have to take up and pick up the slack that this government has left behind. But because you charged me tonight, and I digress back to our children, and I think this is the solution that has been sitting on my chest for the last few weeks when I considered, children going to school hungry. So in the UK, there's something called a 5 a day. Where you could go into the supermarket and things are labeled as something that's important for you
This
to
is
have
a solution in relation to
the hunger to the hunger that's being fixed by our school children. No, we heard.
We're going to come back to the sports though.
No, that's fine. We definitely will. We
Yeah,
heard
that's
the MP for St. George North speak about businesses not spreading the profits out and basically calling businessmen selfish for not wanting to give back to the community. I thought that the Barbados Labour Party was for businesses, so it was kind of strange to hear them chastising the businesses that they obviously have provided for, from 2018. However, there is a simple solution to this issue with hunger amongst our school-age children, right? If supermarkets are making enough profit that the government feels as if they can give back, the simple solution is for supermarkets across this island to have a basket of free goods for children. This is school-age children could walk into any supermarket. They could pick up packed sandwiches.
Yes.
It's something that I think we
Under
need
your
to.
proposal, who is paying for it?
The government. So the government will broker a relationship with supermarkets across this country that students.
So it's not a gift from the supermarket. It is
not a gift from the supermarket. It will be paid for by the government. But because supermarkets are so easily accessible, supermarket shops, gas stations, it could be worked out in such a way where it is a breakfast.
A breakfast.
So it will be.
Our proposal last week was different though. Dale's proposal last week was different. Where you going?
No, so that's fine because we are intellects within our space.
Dale was saying, right, Dale, that we do the breakfast at school.
At the school.
All of the children meet in the mess hall. That's what we called it.
Yeah, we would use the similar point to Dr. Armstrong. This time we would just get the hotels involved. So we, like I said, we have 62 registered hotels under the CSR, which is the corporate social responsibilities. Once we implement the hotels, usually the hotels show away a high percentage of breakfast every day, because when they set at the breakfast buffets, they would then have the occupancy at 80%, 90%, all depends on the occupancy. Those persons, they come, they eat, staff would also get some of the buffet, and then the rest will be dumped. So before we dump them, we can then prepare these meals at 5 a.m. because they haven't like chef.
But it's served in the school.
Served in the school.
As opposed to Dawn's idea of the child going to the supermarket.
And I would state why I prefer it to be the way I am outlining, because.
So you're disagreeing with Dale?
Not disagreeing. No. There is a way to do it. So what you don't want is people seeing these children who are in need of breakfast.
That's why
having the breakfast.
We were saying last week, we do it in the schools. All children of all backgrounds sit in this mess hall and eat. There's no discrimination. There's no stigma. There's no going to the supermarket to collect your package.
No, so it's not
You're going at the mess table in the mess hall. And all the children of all backgrounds eating together, praying together, singing the hymn together, singing the anthem together, and dining together.
Right.
With no stigma attached. You're not going to the supermarket and collecting your package.
But it's not even
and taking time off from school.
You're not taking time off from school.
No, we want it done in the schools.
I suppose, but I also think too.
So you give in to these gentlemen here on that proposal?
I think I do to some extent, but what you guys are implementing again has to come from the Ministry of Education, has to be passed. I'm thinking about tomorrow. So literally, we want this crisis ended now. You know.
Well, they're not going to listen.
Starving children.
They listen to us, but they're not going to implement it.
Starving children, I could tell you for a fact, is the greatest crisis right now. Across communities in this country. So I'm thinking short term, provide this basket against children going, they could grab a fruit, a juice, and a sandwich, a prepackaged sandwich, you know, whether
you gotta live near a supermarket though.
Pardon?
You have to live near a supermarket or
I suppose I see enough children at bus stops on mornings, you know, commuting to school. So I'm just thinking in the know, the suffering.
Immediately.
It hits me to my core.
Mhm.
You know, the suffering of our children, and I love the idea that was presented, but we know that is, you know, when the Democratic Labour
Mhm.
Party takes
Mhm.
government, that is something that
takes
will be
planning and
effective.
building.
I am saying no, the government has come down on business owners and supermarkets saying they're making enough money, they're not spreading it. This is a way that they can spread it. If we are serious about ending, you know, hunger for our children at this point in time.
Yeah.
You know, so that's just one thought that came to mind.
Ensley and David, and Dale, we're here talking about, and we've seen it on the board, the government's treatment of the different classes.
Mhm.
And we went to Parliament this week. I was at this meeting, so I didn't get there in time to listen to everything the minister said. But there's a rebellion across Barbados now in relation to the government's treatment of the Airbnb people.
Oh yeah.
You talked about creativity,
Mhm.
and a lot of people in Barbados have become involved in tourism.
Mhm.
They're converting their properties into living guest houses.
Mhm.
And apparently, the government is trying to regulate and not only regulate but penalize people
Charge them.
who have turned their properties into guest houses for tourists. And that is something we went to Parliament on Tuesday, and that's what they did. It's a very voluminous piece of legislation.
Mhm.
And I was saying, look, it's fine to try to control people, but don't penalize them. And let your relationship with that emerging sector be one of assistance, protection, because as I say, they're assisting the people who own villas.
Yeah.
They get massive concessions. And David, a man converts his property in a village into a guest house. And rather than focus on concessions, you are focusing on controlling him and have him subscribe or submit to all these regulations. And if he doesn't submit to some of these things, you charge him. Everything now, you charging somebody, you prosecuting somebody. A few weeks ago, we were going to discuss this in a separate program. A woman can be prosecuted if she applies for maternity leave and she gives wrong information in relation to her pregnancy, the date of her pregnancy. She can be prosecuted, and not only prosecuted, but fined and imprisoned. So everything the government does in relation to a certain class of persons involves. I'm going to have the discussion with you. This is where the government implemented paternity leave.
Right.
And they're saying, okay, you're taking me off, but you need to hear this.
Yeah.
The government implemented paternity leave. That's leave for men whose wife, spouse has had a child. They're saying that that you must have been working for 12 months at the business place in order to apply for that maternity or paternity leave.
Okay.
And that if you give wrong information as to how many months you were working, you can be prosecuted. So that one, you're trying to control the time at which a woman can get pregnant. And if she gives, the woman or the man, the father, if they give information which is not consistent with the legislation, they can be prosecuted. So pregnancy, the beautiful act of pregnancy and childbirth, for some reason under this legislation, turns into a matter of a criminal offense. It's weird. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen.
For me,
but let's get back to the Airbnb. I'm going to have that discussion with you, and I'm going to show you the legislation. Airbnb, that has emerged out of the communities. You know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I understand.
And government has brought legislation to Parliament on Tuesday.
Yeah.
To overregulate, and not only overregulate, but to penalize them. So here you have David, people trying to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and government comes with this large bit of legislation. Now, a few months ago, they came with legislation for villas, but they didn't come to penalize villas. They came to give villas
$150,000
concessions.
$250,000.
$250,000.
It's right there on the screen.
$250,000. Jonathan B. Fines up to $250,000 to register your Airbnb. So you build. I've seen an Airbnb, as I told the chappie there on Tuesday, in the Bayland.
I stay in an Airbnb when I want a break.
And so rather than government support this emerging business class in our local communities.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs, new
Entrepreneurship.
entrepreneurship. But they come with this massive legislation.
Because the Barbados Labour Party
That is
single-handedly
consistent with the point
comes
you're
to
making.
kill any form of progression in this country.
Or initiative.
It is so weird to see this come into play. You know, as a girl, I grew up and I heard, you know, the Barbados Labour Party is never for the small man. And to even see it now being effected, and they know that they have all the power in this country to do as they like, they seem to be rushing things through with you as opposition leader. All you could do really is debate and bring these things to the forefront to let the people of Barbados know. But they know ultimately that they will have the last say. And if Barbadians do not wake up to this, we do not know what will become of this country. There is so much to repeal and so much to undo. If the Democratic Labour Party is to take government in this country, all because you see this government rushing every week to do something different, to create a new headline in this country, to detract from the issues that are being faced by people in this country. It's really sad.
Let's stay with Lana Robinson. What's Lana Robinson saying? That's Lana Robinson, is it? 250,000
to pay as a fine for not having a Airbnb registered is actually the whole property the government is taking over.
Alvin Bab, or let's stay with Lemuel Tull. What's Lemuel saying?
The aim is to make sure that the money goes to the rich and powerful, and the rest of us must remain hewers of wood and drawers of water. She wants money, but only from the poor.
Only from the poor. That's where you think money's coming from.
Yeah,
But,
you know, it is.
No, but coming back to the same Airbnb thing, recall a former minister. He came to level the playing field.
Yes.
When the small entrepreneurs, car importers, right?
Excellent.
He wanted to level the playing field so that the big importers and the garages will continue to maintain the profit. Now we have no government coming to bring this legislation to penalize another sector of small Barbadian person who is seeking out of a need, out of a necessity, rather than keeping my house 3 or 4 bedrooms, doing nothing, children gone overseas to college and what's not. Let me improve my dwelling and make it accessible to persons coming in. Right? This, in my view, is a form of community tourism.
That's right.
Because the tourists now are coming into a home setting.
Correct.
And experiencing the true culture of the country.
Might learn some road tennis.
Learn something. Getting a home cooked meal.
Yes, that's right.
Right? Within there. But it is no surprise, because when we look at the legislation that government has been passing within recent times, it has all been carrying hefty fines towards a certain sector.
Penalize them into
just the small person. As soon as you try to raise your head to do something to pull yourself up, government comes with the big foot on your head, go back down.
But Ensley, is interesting because I don't even think the government is recognizing how they're outplaying themselves in terms of tourism. Because if the tourists are avoiding the hotels and coming to the Airbnbs, it just goes to show you that the mindset of the tourists has also shifted. And if the tourists are wanting to experience more of our culture, it is something that should be facilitated by the government. You know, before you would have never seen a tourist on a PSV, you know, but now you see them at the bus stops in their droves. It speaks to a cultural shift in tourism as well. And if the government was so aware of what is happening within the sector, they would honestly facilitate more of it, because what it would then do is make us more attractive. I have lived abroad, and it is so much cheaper to go to the Canary Islands and get the same sun, sea, and sand in Spain than it is to come all the way to Barbados on an 8-hour flight. We are constantly outplayed in terms of our offering. So when you make it difficult for Airbnbs to be able to host tourists, and then they're taxed and the Airbnb rates go up, the tourists that would traditionally look to Barbados to say, okay, well, you know, I may not be able to stay in an all-inclusive, but I could stay at my local Airbnb. When they see the rates skyrocket, they're going elsewhere.
But the hotels will always have the people.
You know?
There are people who will always want to stay in
Yeah,
hotels.
definitely.
So it isn't to say that Airbnb is stealing anybody from the
No,
they're
so
not.
we're not saying
They're
the
not.
stealing, but we're saying that when we look at the young traveler, there's a
more adventurous type.
but there's a custom for you call it a gap year, you know,
Mhm.
where the young student who just finished sixth form before they
Right,
go to
right.
university, they decide they want to travel the world a bit,
Yes.
may not have a whole host of money
Precisely.
to come to Barbados to book an all-inclusive, but rather do something like an Airbnb.
Mhm.
You know, that's a tourist too. They bring foreign exchange, the same foreign exchange. So
Mm-hmm.
it seems as if we are now being governed by a people who only focus on the big shots and the
Yeah,
high rollers, and you know who's bringing the millions and the billions, but forgetting that money is money, and you know 100 cents still add up to $1. You know, at the end of the day, so it is troubling that this government that is so large, this cabinet that is so large, ministers, junior ministers, consultants, all the way
Senior
down,
ministers.
cannot even sit and recognize that there is a trend across the tourism sector globally,
Mhm.
and we are constantly missing the mark. We saw it in the World Cup. We missed the mark with the World Cup. The World Cup was a flop. Let's be fair. You know,
Oh,
nobody
yeah.
wants to come out and say it was
Big
a
flop,
huge
big
flop.
big flop.
You know, empty flights across the Caribbean. People knowing that they're paying airlines for charter flights with one person on it. We know it was a tremendous flop.
Yeah.
When will this government then recognize that across every sector they are missing the mark in terms of recognizing what this country needs to go forward? Right?
So we were looking at solutions, and Dale, the Airbnb has been a solution to the problem of unemployment, the problem of low incomes. You know the existence of you follow the Airbnb.
What I can say,
emergence.
what I can say, yes, sir. That happened in COVID. Yes.
Tell us about
Yeah,
it.
so it started in COVID where persons were to use properties and then started to renovate it.
Mhm.
Also, what guests realize is that when you go to the rum shop or you go to the gas station, you can pay $3 for a bike spare or deputy.
Yes.
However, in the hotels, you pay $20 per bike.
Really?
Yes, sir. So also,
Is that
correct. So also the guests also realize.
Oh, sorry. No matter.
If you want the truth, I'm going to give you the truth, sir. So when you look at,
we virtues of Airbnb, we don't criticize any hotels because we need the hotels.
yeah, we do need the hotels, but there are that percentage of guests, like Dr. Armstrong said, that
Yes.
will not, want to stay in the hotel.
Right.
Have that
They
few,
want the
that
authentic
authentic Barbadian experience.
Yes. Yes.
So you have the loyal hotel guests that will come and spend $20,000 and also buy the meal plans.
Mhm.
So they get the meal plans where they get the breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Mhm.
Because not all hotels are all inclusive. So when you're not an all inclusive hotels, you offer the meal plan so that you will keep your guests engaged. But the guests don't want that because these guests are accustomed having the same English breakfast, eggs Benedict overseas. So they want to have that authentic BHM. A lot of persons also converted their space into Airbnb because the welfare takes too long to pay welfare as it relates to accommodation. So we have a lot of cases in Barbados today. You have a rental property, you accommodate a vulnerable family. Welfare take about 8 months to give you a check. So how can that person pay a mortgage or stay up to date with mortgage payments?
Let's come back to the Airbnb though.
Okay.
David, you're in St. George, right? The Airbnb has reached out by you though.
No,
I don't think
I don't think so.
But you can still talk on it.
I said
We would have to be looking at we would have to relook this legislation as a new government. This legislation that came to Parliament on Tuesday to overregulate the sector and to suppress the sector. That's something, if they want solutions, our solution would be to offer protection and concessions to the Airbnb sector.
We know what the problems are.
Mhm.
We already know that the government, to digress slightly, these new regulations, these new things that they bring to the house and pass, who really are the authors of these things? because a lot of these
Government.
things, but who does this? Who sits around a table and determine that these are the things
Before legislation reaches parliament, it comes from the cabinet.
the cabinet.
That's the final decision.
Okay. Which cabinet?
The cabinet, the Barbados cabinet.
Okay. Because I to me, right, a lot of the legislation that comes to Barbados seem very foreign.
Mhm.
It seems almost as if somebody in parliament copying, but they're copying from somebody foreign. Because a lot of the legislation they seem as if they're designed to punish and to imprison and to criminalize
Yes. Yeah.
Barbadians.
Yeah.
But you like just discussed there, you said that this legislation seems to go against the small entrepreneur who wants to use his property to make a little change.
A berry.
So it almost seems as if a lot of the legislation that comes to Parliament is designed to punish the average Barbadian. Because I mean, while you were talking about this particular piece of legislation with the Airbnb, I started to think about other legislation that came before it. A lot of them were either cancel out or walk back.
Yeah. A cybercrime.
Cybercrime. I'm talking about the legislation where if you were going to do
Phone
something,
tapping.
at least to me, right?
They walk back on.
I'm concerned that this government is being run outside of Barbados because a lot of these legislation that come to the Parliament seem very foreign to me, and they seem anti-Barbadian. They seem anti. Not only Barbadian, but anti-Barbadian to the average Barbadian, to the working class Barbadian. And these fines, these fines, something is not right. If a man trying to make $1, you can charge, you can fine the man $250,000.
And the property may be valued at $250,000.
No, but if the property only valued at $150,000, he's still short by $100,000.
Precisely.
So my reality is that something is very wrong with a lot of the legislation that seem to come through Parliament.
We just tell our calendar that Dale is allowed to tell it as it is, but we don't want addresses. Not that Dale mentioned addresses. I stopped Dale before he mentioned addresses because we still don't want to identify people of the program.
I was gonna ask Ralph.
Yes,
I think David is
yes.
being very polite
Don't.
about he's asking the real question of where these policies being developed. Now we saw that the good MP from St. George fell resigned from his role as a minister and went straight to the rum shop. I think one could assume that these is it based in inebriation? We don't know, because it really seems as if there's really no thought going into what's being said. It just seems nonsensical. I don't know if people are afraid to say it. I don't know if people believe that, because of this intellect of, I guess, what they think or what they expect of members of parliament. We've seen members of parliament before being men and women of high intellect. So we believe that somehow this is something that transcends to know. But I could tell you for a fact that the elected members that we have now lack, to some extent, it's just nonsensical. I'm sorry. I can't find another way to say it. It makes absolutely no sense that persons who would have benefited from the policies of the Democratic Labour Party, persons from working class families, working class homes that have accomplished, not just kick down the ladder, but chastising people that are just like them.
Stomping people with the ladder.
Just like them. It is as if they're afraid of where they came from, of who they are. They're afraid of the average Barbadian citizen becoming something, earning money. The same way that we seek to oppress sports persons, becoming millionaires from kicking the ball, bowling the ball, shooting the netball. It is this culture of trying to hinder the potential of every person in this country, well, the majority, it seems as if we're afraid for the masses to have something and to become something and to become somebody than we are for people who we think should be. We think that the privileged should have everything and everybody else should have nothing.
We don't think that you need the
No,
government.
I think I'm speaking to the government and the policies of this government.
Yeah.
So whereas Rihanna Thornton is saying in 2017, I used to work for $269.70, was still able to pay a bill, groceries, and still party. You know, this is crazy. I'm working for way more now and can't catch a break.
That's interesting.
You know?
So
and
she was working for $269.70
in 2017.
Per week, I think she
you know, so the decade probably wasn't as lost as we thought before, in 2017.
8 years ago.
People need to understand that what's happening now.
Thanks, Ms. Thornton, for that.
It's just rooted in nonsense. It's not foreign. It is not foreign at all. This Barbados Labour Party government is seeking to keep the masses oppressed, begging on welfare, throwing out a low bone ever so often, hold your $300, but you gotta line up in the sun for it. You know, they don't want Barbadians to become better, because if Barbadians become better, they are no longer dependent on the government for their livelihoods. The Barbados Labour Party wants their citizens to continue to be mendicant, begging, and poor. And that's the truth. Anti-working class legislation shows that the BLP is out of touch with Bajans. And it always has been. It's just that the economy was better before. We are now dealing with, you know, unprecedented times, unprecedented hardship, and this government is continuing to perpetuate that hardship.
I just wanted to say a little bit on the Airbnb concept or aspect. Remember in 2007 at the World Cup, we had the World Cup.
Yes.
Prime Minister Oinasa was asking Barbadians to build on something, right? Because we expected this great surge of persons coming into Barbados.
The World Cup was for a month.
Well, I can't
remember.
remember.
The World Cup was a disaster.
I can't remember. So had the people gone, I mean, some people actually did it.
Some people did, yes.
Some people did it. Some people seek to improve certain rooms and what was that? That was Airbnb, but nobody didn't know it as that name, right? But at that time, he was saying to Barbadians, do something to get $1.
Yes, that's right.
Right? Persons are doing it now, but this government is saying that the heavy hammer coming down on you, right? $250,000 fine.
Suppressing the creativity of which Don spoke earlier.
You know, Pedro hit it on the head. Don, that is socialism. What's the name of the youth arm of the Barbados Labour Party? Not the League of Young Socialists.
Yeah,
not the League of Young Socialists. You know? No.
Esther Lou says, well said, you have a fan.
Do I?
Read it.
Well said, Dr. Domery. Thank you, Esther. But yeah.
Yeah, Don, we were talking about the football as a solution, to the social problem. Your football competition, then you said, would be parish-based. Tell us about it.
Parish-based. There are community centers across this country, and I would never stop singing about the benefits of community centers to community development across this island.
A lot are closed.
A lot can be reopened.
Dr. Blue would tell you, and Robbie Sips would tell you, the one in finance is closed.
Yeah.
Grisette's is open.
Grisette's is open, but I think it's more of a social space. So it's not just for sports, it's for any person to book. Same as Eden Lodge. There was a summer camp running over the summer. So persons within the community are allowed to book and utilize these spaces. So it's not just for sport, but what we can do is actually use these community centers as hubs for sport, because everyone knows where their local community center is. So let's say across St. Michael, and I'm just going to guess at
let's
this
come
point.
to the city then. Sorry,
I
apologize. We had a meeting in your constituency.
Yes, sir. Emerton.
Yes,
sir.
And that community center is closed. The wooden one.
Yes, sir.
It's closed.
Yes, sir.
How the community center is in St. Michael East? What's happening there?
One in the Ivy. The last couple of months it was under repairs, under renovations. I don't know what happened recently, but
That's the only community center you have in St. Michael East?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. I believe it's still under renovations.
So it's closed.
But yes,
And
because the
all these
mere fact that we
renovations-
had our branch meeting at headquarters
Right,
signifies
right.
that it is
And
closed.
Rodney, our friend Rodney Simpson, one of Barbados' leading sports and community activists, he had a women's cricket tournament
Always does. I played in one of
there.
his tournaments as a younger girl.
Recently,
Mhm.
and he lamented that the government did not give him a lot of support
Yeah.
at all. And he
Yeah.
brought teams here from England, women's softball cricket,
I
got very little support.
I played in one of Ronnie's tournaments as a teenager, and it was the highlight of the Easter vacation back in my day.
Excellent.
It was around that time.
The
Yes, it was.
the softball tournament. Actually, his tournament allowed a lot of us to break into the hardball cricket.
Yes.
So what happened was that they recruited us, us with a faster arm. I was always a bull. I could never throw. So my arm always used to go. So I even used to bowl the softball. But what I did is that it allowed a lot of girls who had the speed to throw the softball to then be recruited into the hardball, which was kind of localized to BC at the point in time. And that's how I felt a lot of us got introduced to the hardball women's cricket. So Rodney was very instrumental in terms of actually creating that talent identification
Yes.
as well
Yes.
within the softball cricket.
Congratulations to Rodney Simpson. Sports activism and community activism need Rodney Simpson
Yeah.
in the communities. David, community centers in St. George North, what's going on there?
Active.
Active?
Nice.
Yeah,
The James Bryan is in your constituency.
Yeah, right.
How is it going out there?
James Brand is well utilized.
Mhm.
We it's a morning gym about
Okay.
6 o'clock in the morning. There's the evening gym. There's football.
Market Hill is still existing. The club,
Market
Market
Club
Hill
is
is up there.
Yeah, it's still in existence.
That's
Uh,
nice.
Former police officer Phillips, he got my wicket up there. He's still playing.
Johnny Phillips.
Oh,
John
You
Phillips.
you know,
Yeah, Philip Grafton.
Yeah, John.
Grafton.
Grafton Phillips, right. Well,
He's retired now. We can call his name there.
well, we call him John.
He's still active up there.
Well, no, I don't think John is really into. I don't know if he would still be able to get it.
But the cricket club itself, how is it going?
Market Hill is still
Market,
Very
they're
much.
still playing.
still
Used to be a BCL
George.
thing. You know where they were before they went there?
St. Helens. You mean really old ground? What?
Yes,
Oh,
next to the church.
You mean St. Augustine's?
Yes, Augusta.
Oh, that was long.
The famous ground.
That was long
That's
ago.
long ago.
When you had to call the bowler.
Precisely.
You had to, the umpire had to tell you when the bowler coming up the hill.
Yes.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Very interesting. But I know, and I asked you for a couple seconds.
Yes,
to
please.
know that we're on to cricket
Yes.
because this
We're coming
evening,
back to you on cricket.
this
though.
evening I went over, and this is I'm digressing. I went over to a pavilion right next to the St. George Parish Church.
Mhm.
Pavilion is named after George Bradford.
Yes, I saw
And,
that.
and I can't remember the other name on the pavilion. Named after two persons.
Uh-huh.
I went over there to view George Bradford's body.
Pavilion is badly located though. But
Yeah.
you go on.
Yeah, but I went over there to view George Bradford's body this evening.
Mhm.
Um,
At the church or the pavilion?
at the pavilion.
At the pavilion.
Yeah.
That's a nice gesture.
George was a cricketing icon
Mhm.
in St. George,
Yes, he was.
and he went through a lot recently before his passing. And we also lost another cricketing icon in St. George, a gentleman called Glenroy Lovell from Glenroy Lovell.
Who's that right play for?
I think he's
George
Sheffield. He played for Sheffield.
NBC. Yeah.
Glenroy is his nickname was Cricket.
Mhm.
So a man with the name Cricket obviously
Yeah.
had to be a good cricketer.
Yes.
So we
I
lost.
love the game.
Yeah. But we lost
Two icons.
two icons within a week.
Mm.
Like we lost Glenroy the Veinster, and
George was a big name in Barbados.
yeah,
First
very
in
big name. I
cricket.
think he played
Back-
for Bank
Yeah.
at one point in time.
Back-
Right.
No helmet.
no
So
help.
I definitely want to take this moment
Yes.
to express my deepest sympathy to the families of Chuck Prophet and Glenroy Lovell Cricket. These two men were truly cricketing icons in the St. George area. George hailed from the Valley Land, and Glenn Roy Lovell, he was from the North State community. I think these communities are poor due to the passing of these two illustrious cricketers. And I pray that their souls will rest in peace.
Amen.
We join with you in the expression of sympathy. Sheffield, how is Sheffield doing? I saw a game at Sheffield about 3 weekends ago. And John Cultural played Sheffield. Very interesting game. I think y'all got beaten up, Sheffield.
Sheffield is still, I be honest with you, I have not spent a lot of time in Sheffield
You
area.
have to get to Sheffield.
I spend most of my time in Market Hill.
Oh, I see.
But
Colin Spencer's
lucky for me, I have Colin
Yes,
and Stefan Watson down there,
good.
making sure that
Colin is
Sheffield,
president of Sheffield, isn't he?
I think it might be Stefan,
Oh, okay.
but Stefan is the chairman of my branch.
Yes,
and,
I'm aware.
Colin is a resident supporter and coordinator in that Sheffield area. And I think as long as those men are around, it will always be at Sheffield.
Yeah, you need, which tells you always need community leadership.
Oh yes, yes. And Colin Spencer definitely is a community leader. He is a community leader. You know,
And that's
What-
to the community.
what would Sheffield be without Colin
Without
Spencer?
Colin. Don, we're gonna have to come back and discuss
Yeah.
the professionalization of cricket at first division level.
Mhm.
In your absence, I was boasted about our discussions
Yeah.
at Maple and so on.
Yeah.
We're
No,
gonna
that's
have to come
fine.
back and discuss that. We said we were gonna look at suffering in Barbados and the solutions. We did a lot. We did about an hour on the suffering. We looked at some
Yeah.
of the solutions. I don't mind that the discussion went in various directions.
Mhm.
We need to have free discussion. Any final comments? Don, you start.
No,
Ladies first.
I was gonna say that
You want to read
It's-
that?
we don't know. We have to do a consensus to see whether or not the rural constituencies have more community engagement in that regard. Because obviously David is in
That's
St.
interesting.
George, and
That's
you
interesting.
know he's mentioning that it's thriving. You know the
Yeah,
the
the
community
community
centers there, but we as
In the
candidates
urban parts
in
of
urban
Barbados.
parts of Barbados, it seems as if there is
Yeah.
a
What is that? Crime deal?
no, it just seems as if suppose there's an attack on urban communities though. Suppose there is a case where, you know, they're not wanting urban
Resources,
communities
yeah.
to thrive.
Correct.
Because we know that urban communities are heavily populated as well. So I mean this is just probably me being, you know, a psychologist and starting to analyze it, you know, chalk for cheese kind of thing.
Mhm.
All the crime is centralized, you know, to urban constituencies and
It's in the
communities.
country too. It's in the country too. I want to ask a last question.
Mhm.
Optimism.
Yeah.
Are you gentleman and lady optimistic?
I am very
You're
optimistic.
Give
Yeah,
us
I am optimistic because I remember giving an example of the city of Troy. You remember when they destroyed Troy with the Trojan horse? The
Yes,
person said,
yes,
as long as
yes.
one
Well,
person,
I wasn't alive then.
as long as one Trojan has the sword of Troy, the
Mhm.
city can be rebuilt.
Right.
And I always say, as long as one member of the Democratic Labour Party has the core principles and policies and values and morals of the party at heart, the
Mhm.
Democratic Labour Party will continue to grow and will lead Barbados again.
Excellent.
And I think that a forum like this continues to help us to see that the Democratic Labour Party is on the up.
Yes.
We are ready to take government.
Yes.
And the truth is that the Democratic Labour Party has always had the interests of Barbadians at heart. And I speak to every person on this stream tonight, every voter from the age of 18 years old. You may not be able to say that you have lived through the glory days of the Democratic Labour Party, but the best days are yet to come. And we need your support. As long as you're registered to vote, come out when elections are called and vote for the Democratic Labour Party.
Excellent. David, you're optimistic in the future?
Yes, I am definitely optimistic. I still see family values in the St. George North communities. And like Don said, as long as the young persons in community understand that the Democratic Labour Party is here and is ready to save this country from a government that we can't understand. I think that as long because people are bewildered and bemused by a lot of things that are happening around politics in Barbados. I think that sometimes people begin to lose hope. And I'm here to say, don't lose hope. Because we the members of the Democratic Party, we have put ourselves forward so that we could present to the people of Barbados hope, the hope that Barbados will rise from where it is at this point in the history of Barbados.
Thank you, David. Dale, optimistic for the future?
Yes, sir. I am extremely optimistic because
We can do it as a party?
yes, we definitely
For
can do it
Barbados?
for
Bring
Barbados.
it back?
Yes, sir. Reason being, when people see or hear bad things, people always have their own perception. However, I look at the lens different, I look at the angle different.
Right.
Reason being because once we are given life,
Yes.
we are given that chance and that opportunity to make a difference. So if we make a difference by impacting lives, we can then also spread that love. We can also spread that change that is needed. When I sit down and I look at the Barbados Labour Party, I was asked this question this morning, why I chose to be a candidate for the Democratic Labour Party. The Democratic Labour Party has always represented the working class and poor people.
Yes.
Democratic Labour Party under the very excellent Arrow Walton Barrow give us free education, and I will serve with the Democratic Labour Party, and I know we will rise from the ashes like the phoenix, and we will become the choice of the people because we are for the people, and we will always be with the people.
Excellent.
I told a lady from Barbados Labour Party supporter this morning. She said, well, Dale, you need to jump that ship. I said, no, this ship reminds me of Noah. When Jesus came down and he spoke to Noah, no one believed that he will be successful after that 40-day drought. And then, you know, when the ark was built, everybody said, he's a madman. Everybody laughed. But when they saw the rain, then everybody wanted to hop on that ship. So I know for a fact, I am definitely optimistic, and I'm definitely 100% sure that we will bring home this government.
And lift Barbados.
And lift Barbados. Change we can believe in.
Yes.
And Rowe stands for results over words every time.
Results
Over words every
every
time.
time. Grainger's a long name. I don't know.
Thank you both.
If you're optimistic.
Oh man, I am optimistic. This is an exciting time for me to be a member of the Democratic Labour Party. And viewers, I want to say to you viewers out there, you have been watching DLP TV now for how many months we were going? Every Tuesday and Thursday, you are seeing the candidates of the Democratic Labour Party. You are seeing what we are offering. You are in a position to compare the Democratic Labour Party to what you get from the Barbados Labour Party. And I'm saying to you viewers that when elections are called and you go to the polls and elect the Democratic Labour Party, you're not just changing a government. You are transforming lives when you elect the Democratic Labour Party. And the Democratic Labour Party, under the leadership of Ralph Thorne, ready to lead with courage, ready to put politics or people over politics and deal with the interests of the people. And I am optimistic that that day is going to come. It is going to come that the Democratic Labour Party will be at the top of the mountain in Barbados politics once again.
Thank you. Shirley, Marva Hunt, Keith Padmore, Lemuel Tell as usual. Good show, Marva says. Stephen Strickland, always with us on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Cam Har, Marva Hunt. I've read a lot of names. Tonight we looked at the suffering that Barbados is enduring. We've all ended on a very, very optimistic note. There's hope. There's hope for this party. There's a lot of hard work going on in this party, and there's hope for Barbados also. This has been our Tuesday night show. Thursday. Thursday night show. We're back on Tuesday next week. We've been doing this every week uninterrupted for the past few months, and we intend to continue. They're telling me to look at the board again. What's going on the board?
So this is my way of bringing some community back to Cape Hill. Our campaign office is officially open, and you saw me.
Yes, please advertise.
Yes.
Yes.
So the barbecue was such a huge success, and I didn't get a chance to thank everyone. I didn't even get a chance to get my usual photos. So thank you for everyone that came out and supported the barbecue.
Give people in St. Michael North directions to your constituency office.
Literally come. Well, everyone knows the old meat shop, calls that ours bar.
That's by coming back. You wouldn't know that name. Coming back
Yeah,
to the shop.
So
Upwell Gap.
So you just literally come up
Go to
and you just continue to
bends.
drive as if you're going towards the junction that will lead you to.
And it's a pretty house on the left.
Yeah.
What color is it again?
We
It's
don't
not
want to call
funny
it colors. It's not blue and yellow yet. Okay. But what we're trying to say is that the Democratic Labour Party in St. Michael North is now starting to lay its roots. And what we've decided to do every Friday, I love to throw down. Believe it or not, they didn't even believe that I cooked all the food for the barbecue, even though I stood in front of a store from 7 a.m.
How much money owe you for that barbecue again?
Ralphie was talking about that after, right? But it was so good that we decided to continue with our after work Friday limes where persons can come, unwind. We've got a nice setup in the yard. You can come through. And we are actually using the monies from our limes to actually reinvest back into the community. We've decided that our first initiative, we're going to be focusing on our back to school breakfast program. So it's something that I started in St. George South when I would allow children to come into the campaign office at the time and get a hot breakfast meal.
And you're going to do that again?
Yes, we're definitely going to be doing this in Belgap. And persons already know what we have going on at the campaign office.
Excellent.
So we're starting with that, and we're heading on to developing our food vouchers program. Now, I'm one that I would always say, don't let the food hand for voucher politics, but when you canvass now, you have to come with something.
Yeah.
And there are some households right now that, Ralph, believe it or not, people cannot eat. And I feel it would be a disservice for me not to be able to contribute to that. The issues that persons faced in 2018 are the issues that they face now.
Correct.
And putting food on the table is the number one issue within households in this country.
So you're doing vouchers?
Vouchers, most
not
definitely.
hampers.
No, everything that you do right now, because I think people deserve to be able to go, have the dignity to go into the supermarket and choose what they want. So every bit of money that we raise is going into getting those food vouchers so that persons can go into the supermarket. We won't name the supermarket.
Do their dignified shopping.
Go into theirs and do their dignified shopping.
Dawn, you're a winner. Dale,
so come out and support.
You're a winner. Ensley, you're a winner. David, you're a winner. This is a winning team. They're telling me to pay attention to a meeting on Sunday.
Yes.
Sunday.
Yeah, so this Sunday we have the St. Michael Central branch meeting at our Howard supermarket. We have Jamal Sandiford, one of the speakers.
Outdoor public meeting.
Excellent. So we have Jamal Sandiford, the candidate for our Northeast. Correct. We also have Senator, the Giant Killer, correct. We also have Senator Worrell.
Senator Andre
Worrell.
St. Michael Central.
St. Michael Central.
Yes.
We also have
the Dynamic Deal Road.
From the city. And we have our president, opposition leader, Mr. Ralph Thorne.
Yes.
So I'm encouraging everyone to come out and support us. It's gonna be fire. Don't miss it. See you there. And also I want to congratulate
5:30 Senator Worrell.
Yes, 5:30.
Why not 4:30?
We might be canvassing.
We're going to get an early start.
Yes,
Senator
sir.
Worrell, we're going to get an early start.
5:30 sharp.
5:30 on Sunday by Howard's Supermarket, the car park, St. Michael Central, Senator Andre Worrell, City, Dale Rowe. I'll be there speaking as well. And who's the other one? Northeast, Jamal
Sandiford.
Yes. Nice name for the DLP.
I just want to say one thing really quick as it relates to being optimistic. So I want to congratulate Lieutenant Jeffrey Bostick on his new nomination. He was also optimistic because he came from the city
Yes.
and now he's the head of state. So from the next representative for the city
Excellent.
to the previous former representative, congratulations, sir. And I hope that you do a fantastic job in your new appointed role.
Very, very well said. We're big people here in many ways. Good night. God bless you. See you on Tuesday. Bye.
There are people who are struggling out there. There are people who are struggling out there. There are people who are struggling out there. And it is a tragedy. There are people who are struggling out there. There are people who are struggling out there. There are people who are struggling out there.